everybody, it is day 1 of December of the Advent portion of the Christmas holiday. If you celebrate Christmas or just like the countdown and the various festivities. So for today, I'm going to look through or open up the first gift in my 1924 Linens Advent Calendar. I already read that. Little stop if you can. It is a good reminder. And there's a lovely card here, which of course will be great to use in a Christmas journal. And this is item number 1. I will say the box got a little jostled before it got opened. And so for the most part, I've managed to go through and organize everything, and make sure that I'm able to find the right items in the right order. But I think 1 or 2 things did manage to fall out of their packaging, and so we'll see if I may just open those things at will. Love this little bag. So also, I mean, that's one of the things about if you do journaling, junk journaling in particular, packaging is half the fun. Even like store-bought basic packaging can be repurposed into all kinds of fun things. So it's such a joy to get something like this bag. And the first item, it looks like this is a little hand decoupaged ornament with this lovely like vintagey vibe to it. And luckily it feels like plastic and not glass, because we do not put glass ornaments on our tree anymore. My youngest cat, Peach, who does not usually show up in videos but can on occasion, really likes to climb our tree. And I love that she likes to climb our tree. I am a big fan of cats catting. I think that's, you know, that's part of why they're wonderful, is all of the little cat things they do. So as much as possible, I like to find ways to lean into it, celebrate it versus resist. So this can go on the tree. If it falls off, it's not the end of the world. Or sometimes I've got a few different ornaments that I won't put on the tree that I sometimes put in a bowl, just to have the decorations. So very nice start. And then this here is the first freebie from Tracy Fox's Advent Christmas calendar countdown. So I will be cutting these out. And I think, this is the cluster countdown. She's doing one that's more ephemera based, where you have to actually buy the kit, to do the exact things that people are showing in their videos. And then this is, the freebie, which is Christmas clusters. And so I think there's one batch of freebies coming out, I think weekly, if I remember correctly. And this is the first batch, these 4 pages. So we have these lovely little bits and bobs that we can turn into delightful Christmas clusters. So I will be cutting those out so I can use them. Oh, that's what was, there's a weird thing under there. Yet another seed bead from my little sewing grab bag thrift haul that I just did. By the way, I'm getting ready, oh, sorry for the noise. I'm getting ready to organize things now that I've cleaned all of the little boxes and bins that came in it. I just thought I'd share this one here. Compazine Prochloroprezine for when vomiting must be stopped. What a treat to have that in my little sewing grab bag. So yeah, lots of fun stuff happening right now. If you're interested in any of the countdown stuff, the freebie or the other one, I will link Tracy Fox's YouTube channel and probably her site with this video so that you can see that. And I'm going to compile a few of these throughout the week rather than releasing constantly as I open my little goodies. If I open goodies that can be used in a journal a little bit more easily than this kind of ornament here, then I also might try and do a small project or something and actively use it right away, especially if it's Christmassy. So stay tuned. I have no idea if that's coming because I haven't opened anything else yet. Thanks for joining me. Day 2 coming up soon. All right, December 2nd. So day 2 of the Advent box of goodies. I'll start there. I mentioned yesterday, but there were a couple things that slid around in the box. Everything's in great condition. It was packed well. It's not a knock on the seller. It's hard to pack that many different items and get them all neatly put in a box, and they're all different sizes and shapes, and she did a great job. But this was loose, so there's no day on it. So I've decided today's the day it should be opened. And I don't know if it's a drawer pull, maybe, or something. It's just lovely. It's just a lovely, it's ceramic. It feels nice. It feels like the kind of thing you could put on the top of a really elaborate or ornate sort of journal that would make a real statement. So it's gorgeous. I am very happy to have it. And let's see how carefully I can open this and save tissue, because always want to keep the packaging when possible, and then you can make cool stuff from it. All right, so lovely little tissue paper, and then I am not entirely sure, but this looks like a stack of delightful little lace somethings. It's tied here, so I'm gonna go ahead and snip that. Hopefully I didn't mess anything up, but I don't. Oh goodness, oh goodness, look at them. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to understand. They're still sort of connected in some way. Are they supposed, can I take them apart? What will happen if I take them apart? I love them. They're beautiful. They're teeny tiny. This one's kind of grungy. I mean that in a good way, of course. Yeah, I think I have got to unsnip here as well. These little knots holding them together are very small. Take out my tinier snippies. I don't think I'm messing anything up. I think I'm just freeing them. I mean, well, it's mine to use however I want, and I want to free them. So, let's see. I'm obsessed. This is probably not the most riveting content, but like, I need to know. Okay, pulled that bit apart. I'm gonna pull this bit apart. Just trying to be really careful and not accidentally cut something that I will regret cutting. But it is not easy. I almost want to grab my seam ripper, but I want to make sure I know what I'm ripping before. Aha, there you are. There's that little knot. Okay, teeny tiny baby knot holding things together. Just this last one to free all of the teeny tiny baby squares. Okay. Ah, ah, they're so cute. Look at them. Ah, and this one's like grungy on the top. Again, I mean that in a good way. I can make little Christmas clusters with these. Because I've been doing all kinds of Christmas crafts, right? So and there's so many of them. This feels like a treasure trove. Oh, look at that. Just adding in that texture. Okay, I'm very happy. I'm going to cut these apart, and then that's really going to start to fill up my tiny jar of tiny bits. I might need another jar or a bigger jar of tiny bits. Oh my goodness. That's sort of the wonderful thing about Advent. I also have a tiny jar of tiny loose strings and things, because sometimes it's fun to pull a little loose like piece of thread or a thread nest or something in to add some texture to what you're working on. So just keep little interesting bits and bobs in this jar. But yeah, that's the exciting thing about the Advents, is like any one of those things that you get could be really exciting to you. It's the surprise. And then when you get something that makes you as happy as these have made me, you know, you just can't predict it. It's so, the surprise is such a big part of the fun. And then it's just like super extra wonderful when the surprise turns out to be something you would be really excited about in general. So yeah, so day 2 of my 1924 Linens and More Advent box. Big success. Pretty little paper. Definitely good for use in some collage or something in the future. And then I wanted to actually come back to my previous thrift haul video I did, where I got the sewing grab bag and was trying to figure out if it was worth it. I spent a lot of time after I cleaned up the little bins that came, spent a lot of time organizing things and getting stuff into, you know, the beads where I usually keep my beads, and getting all of the loose stuff at the bottom of the bag, and organizing out the needles. And I didn't really spend enough time thinking about this during the initial opening of the bag. And so, you know, I'd said I probably wouldn't necessarily have thought to pay that amount of money for that bag if I had known all of the contents in advance. But again, just like the little Advent calendar, right? The surprise does add some value. But once I started pulling everything apart, I realized how much packaging was in the box and how much I liked that packaging, especially things like this rickrack paper, the needle envelopes. I love, like, this is just gorgeous. And so when I think about it that way, all of the little bits of packaging, I mean, look at that. This fancy sequins packaging, 15 cents. The rust from the old staple even adds character. This was one of my favorites. It's just real nice. So when I take that into account, that also adds a lot of value I hadn't really thought about in the moment, because I was so focused on the items themselves. But the packaging, I really like that. So I wanted to add that little bit as a follow-up to the video, because I don't think that I really appreciated that or did it justice the first time around. You saw me pull these out a second ago. I am starting to play around with some of the Tracy Fox clusters. I need to print out some of the big pages of ephemera, because I did purchase that kit. But I've kind of been waiting to decide what I want to do with it to make sure that I print it on paper that would make sense for that application. and I may just give in and print it. I am not, I find, one of those people who thinks through an elaborate ephemera project beforehand and then goes and prints and gathers and collects all the things. I am much more in the heat of the moment, fly by the seat of my pants, get inspired and play until I find something that I like kind of a person. And that is one disadvantage to purchasing things like printables for someone like me, because then I sort of have infinite possibilities of how I can use them. And I want to like not waste the paper, not waste the ink, print it just right and use it for some cool application. But the truth is that most of the time I won't really think about it or interact with it until it's actually physically in my hands and in front of me. So sometimes I just have to look at the objects on the printable and based on how they are presented in that format, decide what kind of paper to use. Does this look like something where I would want to use a sticker paper, an acetate, clear sticker paper, a cardstock, a lightweight, and just kind of make that decision based on the sheet to be printed, because I very rarely do have a plan in mind in advance. So I'm kind of just trying to, this is my Christmas bin right now. It is incomplete because I do have a lot of other Christmas stuff sort of scattered around, but I'm trying to pull as much of it together as possible. I find that if I can keep all of my stuff in close proximity, it's easier for me to get in, excuse me, and play around. So more to come, but yeah, this is the most I've done. I printed a bunch of the cluster stuff out on cardstock and cut them out, and then I glued this little tag onto this little tag. And then this one I actually cut out around the holly because I did like that. I liked that as sort of a focal point. And then I glued it here and left it open so I can continue to tuck things under it, like as I showed before, right? Some of this lace or some other kind of piece of ephemera that I can slot in there to continue to build out a cluster. So I do like that. 25, I'm gonna leave it there. So that's my progress so far with the Christmas junk journaling stuff. And then probably worth showing some of the other things I've been working on in Christmas crafts land. I think I showed these or mentioned them, but just in case, with Tracy Fox's purchase kits, the papers, I had gone ahead and started making these little envelopes, thinking that they would be fun for some sort of journal or Advent application. I was making these kinds of envelopes for something in fodder school and was really just enjoying folding them to create them. And so I made a bunch of these. I'm in the process of dyeing, tea dyeing, splattering, etc., adding some character to those. I use the offcuts. Yeah, I know I talked about this because I'm remembering, to collage and make these Christmas cards using our old wedding thank you card stationery that we still have way too much of. I swear we sent out all of our thank you cards and then some. It just, I ordered way too much, or the order was way too much. I don't know whose fault it was. I was young. And then I've also been making these. I did some watercolor trees and ornaments. The ornaments are further down in the pile. And then some stamping and spraying and put it on some nice cardstock here. And I think we'll send these out just as they are. And then these other ones are papers I did with alcohol ink and then cut into little different types of Christmas tree shapes. I love those. Oh, where's my other? There it is. These I really love. These are the alcohol ink ornaments, holly jolly. And I drew in the little lines and puffed them out with the little foam I can't believe I yawn so much in these videos. I swear, I am just, I'm here, I'm fully awake. And then these were watercolor ornaments that I did. I really like the way they turned out. I've sketched a few so that I can do some more because I thought they were really pretty. So lots going on in Christmas craft land. I have really not done Christmas crafting traditionally. I don't know why this year I'm feeling it, but I really am. So I'm leaning into it. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with my next exciting Advent present opening. And who knows what else. All right. Day 3 of our 1924 Linens and More Advent box. I can see enough to know that this is probably going to have things in it that would easily work in a junk journal. So I'm very excited about that. I also wanted to share some of the progress I made yesterday working on my Christmas journals. So this will eventually be a journal that fits in this little tin. So we've gotten it started. I've pulled out pages to make little signatures. A lot of this is packaging paper from an order I made from Chewy for my pets. This tag will finish, I need to finish the back of it, but it'll go in this little pocket I made. That's from a very tiny like pocket dictionary. We've got this little pocket here started. And then I also worked in some pages from a teeny vintage date book that I found. Some of the pages are filled out, most of them are blank, but it's small and it works really well in there. And then, oh, I really like the way that this is turning out. This is some of this stuff I found at the craft store in the, I think in the ribbon section. And I've made a little pocket that will have, oh, I must have put the tag in there. It's gonna have a little tag in it. Let me grab my little tag, because it was drying. So I made this little tag. This was a tag shape I cut out, I think from Tracy Fox's cluster freebie. And I think this was also in the cluster freebie. It was like a ticket, but I backed it onto the tag and cut around it, and I like that. And then this, I think, is from her pages that I purchased. And I just made a little tab so that I could put it in that little pocket there and pull it out. So lots of really sweet progress on that Christmas journal. And I love the teeny tiny size of it. The goal is to make a couple Christmas things to list for next year at Christmas, because I like doing the work during the holiday itself, but then I realize people probably aren't looking to purchase Christmas things in like January and February. This is the other tin in which I'm planning to put a journal, and I've just collected a bunch of pages for the signatures, so I haven't really started any work on them yet. And that's partly because I still have some ephemera I'm planning to print out that I haven't printed yet. Most of the ephemera that I've printed and cut is for, is fairly small, so it really does lend itself to that tiny little journal. So very excited about that. Loving this Business Knowledge Center, International Business Knowledge Center tissue paper. I'm trying to very carefully peel off this little sticker, which so far is in good enough shape that I will also keep and put on something. So let's move our packaging aside. I'm very excited to use this tissue paper in something. And this is my little goodie excuse me. This is my little goodie bundle for today. So this cute little tag, some Christmas tea. It's been a lot colder here in Arkansas than usually. It usually is this time of year, so it's good tea drinking weather. A couple little scraps of lace. Those will go nicely in my lace collection for later. This little Joy to the World fabric square is delightful. That would work on possibly on my larger Christmas journal in some way. This is a sweet little quilted scrap of fabric. This I would probably not use in the Christmas journal, but it would be delightful in another journal. This embroidered patch is also delightful, and it does coordinate well, actually, with that little scrap, so that's nice. I think this is adhesive. It feels like it's adhesive gold paper, but it might just be gold paper. TBD. Ooh. I don't know about you. I love working with a napkin. The hardest thing about using napkins for decoupage is that, you know, you usually buy a big batch of napkins at once. And so even when you find them at a good price, you end up with a ton of them, and it takes a long time to go through them. And, you know, you usually only need a couple, and it'll still last you for a while. I will say there is a store I found online. I haven't ordered from them yet, but if you like to work with napkins in your decoupage, in your junk journals, whatever kind of art you do, there's a site called Ninny's Napkins, and you can order napkins from them, and they give you like 1 or 2 at a time. So it costs a little bit more per napkin, but you can get a pretty decent bundle of them, and they do sell like discounted bundles and other things. So then you end up with a variety to work with that maybe all also work together rather than 24 of the same one. So that's worth checking out. This is old wallpaper. I thought so based on the contents of the packaging. I've not yet worked with old wallpaper in my junk journals, but I have wanted to. It's just not something I come across very often when I go to the flea markets. I don't know if I've ever seen it, or if I have, it's always something that's like recent vintage, as in, you know, like the last 20 years and not my style. So you don't get this kind of more vintagey feel that you get from these here. It's maybe more of this, which it's so funny. Like, this is not my style. It's not the way I would normally work, but in a small dose, it's definitely way more interesting than, and it's probably something I would pass over at the store. But then when I see it like this, and when it's coordinated with these others, suddenly I'm like, oh yeah, I could use that. And then we've got a cute little thread, a cute little tree plate. So this is not quite as overwhelmingly exciting as my little squares were yesterday. I did, by the way, take the rest of them apart. I have 60 of them. There were 60 of those little crocheted squares. Amazing. But yeah, I will definitely use a lot of this stuff. This is a good day too. So that's it for today's Advent opening, and then I will check back with you tomorrow to see what's in store next. Hey everybody, it's day 4. I almost said 5. I don't know why. Day 4 of my Advent box. By the way, this is a freebie from Margaret at 7 Plaza. I think it's a freebie. Yeah, it's a freebie. It's just lovely little Christmas papers. I also printed them, that's the other one, 2 a page, so I can play around with those in my Christmas journal. Having a lot of fun. But now it's day 4. I apologize for the crinkly noise. You know how it goes. Part of life, part of packaging. Come on, little friend. Oh, oh. All right, that did not come off as cleanly as it did off of that first bag. That's okay. Plenty of delightful packaging to be salvaged. Oh, it's an ornament. It's a strange ornament made with paper, and it's one of the wise men. Pretty cool. That also could be part of an interesting journal topper. If you didn't want to put it on a tree. Oh, there we go. Move his beard a little. It's very, looks a little bit better now to me, to have his beard going the way beards normally go. I love it. That's a lot of fun. Not maybe the same like infinite possibilities as papers and linens, but again, A, if you love him, you keep him as a journal topper or an ornament. B, if you don't love him, you can dismantle him and use this really interesting paper material. And to be honest, it's really, really cool. Like, it feels awesome. And this little bit of like lace and other stuff to use as bits. So you got options here. So that's it for day 4. And I will see you again for day 5. Hello, hello. It's day 5. And I don't have to open it to see what's inside, but I'm not mad about that. It has just these lovely little beads. Maybe if I put them, well, that's not quite white. I'm trying to find a white surface so that they'll show a little bit better. Okay, this piece of scrap paper will have to do. And because I just don't think they'll show up well in that little bowl. But they are quite nice. There's some cute ones in here. But by the way, you will have just finished my day 4 video. And if you have been horrified by my suggestion about ripping apart that ornament, please know that I would not do such a thing if I thought that, you know, it was precious or special or very valuable or any of those kinds of things. And I did look it up, and I think it was an Andy Lloyd doll, a vintage doll. And I found a similar one. I think that was Joseph and the Baby Jesus or something. And so it is, I think, probably somewhat rare and special, and I would not just, you know, scrap it for parts. I think it's weird. Doing something like this is a little bit weird because obviously you don't know what you're going to get when you open things, and you're sharing about it on video, and there's a part of me that's like worried that she will watch my video and she will learn that I was not absolutely over the moon about every single tiny thing, and that would make her feel offended. And I hope that that's not the case. I don't think it would be I don't think that would be the case if it was reversed. I still think that the daily advent has been awesome. I love it. I like everything. I just have varying degrees of excitement and enthusiasm from day to day. So, but I like these little beads, right? It's just a nice little mix. You know, some of them on their own I probably wouldn't be jumping for joy about, like these little plastic blue beads. But when they're all mixed together, they're quite nice. I really, really like this weird green one. like really like it. And let's see, there was, oh, this little like blue and pink ombre situation. Very cool. And then there's some interesting little clear ones, and I like the wooden beads. I have quite a few wooden beads. I do really like those, and some of these metallic beads are really great too. I like that like coppery color. So very excited about this. It's the kind of thing I absolutely would use to make like a little charm. And in fact, I may actually go ahead and put together some charm situation or something for at least one of the journals that I want to do for Christmas, just in honor of these delightful little beads. So that is day 5. I am now doing more prep, you know, working on my envelopes, working on my journals, still very much in Christmas craft land. And I will see you again for tomorrow's Advent. All right, it's day 6, and it's this adorable tiny little package with, I think, more of that same transparent printed tissue paper, which I really like. It's fairly resilient too. Ooh, playing cards, little vintage playing cards. Oh, they're so cute. Oh goodness. I really like these. And I like that it's a variety because, you know, most of the time, if I even find vintage playing cards, I don't come across them all that often. They're usually priced really expensive around here. I love this bird one. And then, you know, it's a whole pack of the same, which is fine, but, you know, if I don't really love the design on the back, I'm stuck with a bunch of them. So I honestly have, the only playing cards I have right now are, you know, new Bicycle brand. So I do have them if I want to work with them, but yeah, these are nice. Woohoo! All right. I think I'm going to post today, because today marks a quarter of the way through the Advent, 1 through 24. Before I go, I did some more work on my Christmas journals in a tin, and I have them covered and bound, and I'm beginning to do some more work on them. So very excited about how they are progressing. I mean, just look at this chunky baby guy. And then the one in this tin, fairly similar, does not have anything fancy on the cover yet. Wait, this is the, yeah. So, but ready for love, ready for excitement. Really been enjoying the Christmas journal work. So, super excited. All right, I think that's it for today. I'll work on getting this edited together and packaged and posted. And then the next time I see you, we'll be in for day 7.